So when we wake up in the morning and we feel good, all our limbs function, right? We're feeling clear mentally, the day's beautiful outside, everything's going well, we feel good, don't we? It feels like it's going to last forever. And we want it to last forever. But as we saw from last week, life's a flow of change. Everything is changing constantly. We don't like to admit it, but it's changing. Right? I know my body's changing. Every time I look at it, it's a bit different. Yeah. A bit less hair here and a bit more hair in other places. I can't control that. I've got no control over that. Yeah? When things happen that we have no control over, which is change, we don't have control over change, we start to resist it. A simple example is a sickness. Right? Recently, we've taken on a lot more in our lives with getting a rental property up. And I think I pushed the limits a bit much. And so then I got a flu. You wake up in the morning, it's suddenly like, uh-oh, head's starting to feel a bit numb, a bit dull and numb, isn't it? Yeah? Back of the throat's getting a bit itchy. You go, okay, I know what's coming. Throat starts to get raw. Nose starts running like a tap. Next thing you know, body's aching. Every cell in your body you can feel is aching, isn't it? No matter what position you try to get into, you're not comfortable. And then when you try to lay down, you almost drown on all the phlegm. It's fun, isn't it? You try to clear it, and then your nose gets raw red, and that starts hurting as well. Suddenly find that you're getting irritated more than what you normally do. Getting less sleep. You can't do all the things that you normally do. Then you get really weak. Have even trouble walking to the bathroom to go to the toilet. And you're so sensitive, even going to the toilet feels painful, doesn't it? And on it goes. Eventually we get green phlegm. Secondary infections set in. Starts to get into our lungs. Our lungs gurgle when we breathe. We have to get antibiotics, otherwise we'll die. But that's a process. What's the pain in that? What's the pain in having the flu? Can anyone tell me?
The frustration of not being able to control it.
Yeah. The pain is not the sensations of the flu. The main pain is the feeling of lack of control. Suddenly we have something that's invaded our body that's controlling the way we want to live our lives, and we've got no control over it. It's totally controlling us, and that's scary. With an illness, you can actually watch the flow of change in the illness, and it keeps going in the direction it wants to go in, not the direction we want to. Thus arises the man flu. Males have got 50,000 years of being trained in their DNA to fight anything that attacks them or their family. And so males tend to suffer more because for them it's a battleground. This is something to fight. But guess what? The harder you fight it, the more you suffer. Females, on the other hand, have been trained to nurture over 50,000 years or more. And so they tend to put aside their suffering more so they can be there for others. So while they suffer, they don't suffer in the flu as much. So the man flu is this frustration of losing control, not feeling strong anymore. Having something that you can't fight, almost like shadow boxing. But the man flu doesn't actually exist. Either does suffering when you've got the flu. It doesn't exist at all. There is no suffering in having the flu. The same goes when we've got a chronic illness. As touchy as this might feel, or an injury that won't go away. The reason is because whenever we resist something, something that is, we cause pain. And I'll start to explain why. But first I'd like to just to do a little exercise. Everybody's got something in their body that they don't like, or something that's there that they think shouldn't be there. An ache, right? It might be mental or physical, or whatever it is. Yeah, at the moment, I've got the flu. Yeah? So that's my object of meditation. What I want you to do, just for a couple of minutes, I want you to go inside, whatever it is inside your body that you're struggling with. And sometimes, on the last class on Monday, there was someone who had lost a loved one, and so it was the pain within their own heart. But I want you to immerse your awareness in it. Be completely mindful of that experience, the experience of it, and just hold it there, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Yeah? So just close your eyes over lightly. Start by being aware of your body. Just the feeling of your body. Now, wherever you have pain in your body, or your mind, or your heart, some sort of injury, discomfort, illness, place your attention fully on it, fully in it, and immerse your awareness within it. Give it 100% of your attention. Now, while you're doing this, I'd like you to be aware, can you feel any resistance, any dislike towards that experience? Towards that illness or injury, or feeling of sadness? Okay, you can open your eyes now. So, could anyone feel any dislike or resistance or resentment? The feeling of wanting it to go away, this shouldn't be here? Yeah. And that's how we all are, or most of us. I can't speak for everyone. It's very, very interesting. I don't read a lot of the traditional suttas. These are talks from the Buddha's time. These talks were actually done as chants and passed down as chants. And the reason is because passed verbally as chants stops corruption, believe it or not, rather than written down. So only unimportant things were written down. And the reason is it was always taught as a chant, but then every so often all the monks would get together and chant it together. And like if we're all singing a song together, if someone's singing the wrong words, you notice it pretty quickly. And the same with the chants. So this stopped it from getting corrupted for the last 2,600 years. It's only when it starts to get written down, and I've seen a lot of Buddhist books now written down, that that starts to get corrupted, the original teachings. It's very interesting. Because when it's written in a book, who's going to know that it's wrong? what's written. It's based on that person's perception. You can probably think of other examples where this has happened. Things have been corrupted over time by being written down. It's called the Galana Sutta, and it's on illness, and this person was an arahat, which means they've completed the mindfulness practice to the end. They don't have any more suffering. And these monks heard that this particular monk was very, very ill, and so they came to talk to him about it. They said, "I have heard on one occasion Venerable Unarada was staying near Savatthi in the dark forest, diseased, in pain, severely ill. That a large number of monks went to Venerable Unarada, I can't even say it properly, and on arrival said to him, 'What mental dwelling are you dwelling in, so that these pains that arisen in the body do not invade or remain in the mind?' 'When I dwell with my mind well established in the 4 frames of reference, the pains,' that's the 4 frames of mindfulness, yeah? 'The pains that arisen in the body do not invade or remain in the mind. Which for? There is a case where I remain focused on the body in and of itself, ardent, alert and mindful, putting aside greed and distress with reference to the world. I remain focused on feelings in and of themselves, mind in and of itself, mental qualities in and of themselves, ardent, alert and mindful, putting aside greed and distress with reference to the world. When I dwell with my mind well established in these 4 frames of reference, the pains that arisen in the body do not invade or remain in the mind." And so this is basically what I'm teaching, and keep running around with different subjects and pointing at. First frame of reference, immerse your awareness in your body. You'll find that becomes an anchor for your mind. Yeah? Also, your body is always a reflection of your emotions. Whatever emotion you experience mentally manifests in the body, physically. You can always feel it somewhere. Next frame, feelings are the feeling tone, the pleasant or unpleasant aspect of all experience. Every experience has a pleasant or unpleasant aspect to it. If it's an unpleasant feeling tone, we tend to push it away. If it's a pleasant feeling tone, we mentally grab onto it and say, "I want this to stay forever." Next one is mind. We know mind, don't we? Yeah? Being aware of our awareness, our mindfulness, our being aware of our likes or dislikes, the thinking, all the emotions running through it. And the last one is normally called dharmas, mind objects. So everything impinging on our senses coming from outside, right? And also processes are also dharmas. Yeah. But that's for another time. So by establishing your mindfulness, building your mindfulness in all 4 of these frames or one of these frames, you actually find that suffering stops. Why? Because all of these frames of reference, say being aware of your body, are in the present moment. Now, pain equals resistance. Whenever we resist what is, we suffer. This moment right now is how it is, 100%. You cannot change it. You cannot change this moment. Whatever is present in this moment is present in this moment. And that's something we've got to accept. But we spend our whole lives trying to change what's in this moment. If you try to change something that you have no control over, you will suffer. It's simple. The way to get out of suffering is to surrender to the moment. Total acceptance of the moment. So accept the moment. If you can't accept it, then surrender to it. So the way to be free of pain and free of suffering is to surrender to the pain and suffering and understanding that is what's here. And I know that's contradictory to how we think. I'll try to explain how it works. If I'm have something in my life that I'm not comfortable with, and we're talking about illnesses, disabilities, whatever. Something that I don't like. And so I spend my time chasing after happiness, right? The very act of chasing after happiness causes unhappiness. Because when you're chasing after happiness, you always have the feeling that you don't have what you need to be happy. And so you will continuously be unhappy. Chasing after happiness never leads to happiness, ever. If you feel like you need something in your life now to make this moment any better than what it is, you will mentally suffer. And you're actually creating the mental suffering by chasing after or wanting something other than what's here. If, on the other hand, you are very, very happy in your life, everything feels perfect and fantastic at the moment, well, guess what? Everything is a flow of change. As soon as you try to grasp onto that happiness and say, this is how I want it to stay like this, everything is perfect at the moment, you will create unhappiness. Because the fear of losing that happiness, the fear of having that healthy family, that perfect job, that perfect relationship, whatever it is in your life, automatically creates suffering. And suddenly, before you know it, you've cycled back into unhappiness and suffering again. Trying to run away from suffering causes suffering. Trying to run towards or keep happiness also causes suffering. So where's happiness? Very, very interesting. These are called the two extremes in life. The extreme of suffering and the extreme of happiness. Any happiness-based, life-based happiness that you run after will cause pain. Because as soon as you get it, you will try to hang on to it. And since the world is subject to change, it will go. So it will cause pain. That's just how it is. It's not my message. Just go in, meditate, look, you'll see it quite clearly. So then, how do we find happiness? You hear really interesting ones, like you may have seen the big fat Buddha, really fat one, which is opposite. The Buddha was actually an ascetic. He was very thin, right? Very thin. But a big fat Buddha. And then there's a little, some words, some scripting that can often go with it. And it's like, oh, boundless joy, now I see there is no happiness in this world. So it's one of those typical cryptic Buddhist sort of things. It's like, what are they talking about? How can you have boundless joy when you know that there's no happiness? How does that work? When you understand that this present moment is exactly how it's meant to be, and is 100% complete however it is, and that whatever is there is what is meant to be there, and you surrender to that, you totally accept that, right? Suddenly you feel deep contentment. Within that deep contentment is deep joy. Within that deep joy is deep happiness. But that happiness of total acceptance that I cannot find happiness or run away from suffering in life, that happiness doesn't change. Because that happiness is totally dependent on knowing that everything will change. It comes when you stop chasing after it and stop running away from. So think about it as being the middle of a seesaw. You've got happiness in life here, unhappiness in life here. And yet every time you go to this one, you create that one to come up. So you're in this one here, and then suddenly this one comes up, and it's like doom, 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 happy, unhappy, happy, unhappy. Does that feel familiar to anyone? No one? Goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But imagine if you're in the middle of the seesaw. You're neither chasing after happiness or running away from unhappiness. Rock steady still. within that understanding that these ones here are not true happiness, they're extremes, you suddenly experience very deep happiness. But happiness that's dependent on change, not happiness that's dependent on permanence. So when we have an illness or a disability or a terminal illness, we feel the suffering of change, or the suffering that comes from resisting and denying change and our inability to control change. But when we totally accept change, that change is what is meant to happen and how everything is, then suddenly we find happiness. So suffering is a mental relationship to a situation. Suffering is not a thing. Suffering is resistance to what is. When we resist reality, we suffer. When we accept reality, we find happiness. If we can't accept it, we can surrender to it. How do you surrender to it? By immersing your awareness, your mindfulness, fully in the experience, right? And just letting go within it. And suddenly you'll find something will happen. The experience will still be there, but the suffering will disappear. And suddenly the suffering will disappear because you're no longer trying to be free from suffering. You're no longer resisting and you're accepting. And then within that, happiness, very deep happiness arises, but a happiness that doesn't change. A happiness that only keeps getting deeper and deeper. How you relate to this moment creates the next moment. If you resist this present moment, and this present moment is fixed, it already is, you cannot change it. If you're resisting it, that resistance is causing pain. So you are conditioning pain in the next moment. Resist this moment, cause the next moment to create pain, to have suffering. Accept this moment, you create happiness in the next moment. So your job is just to accept each moment. This is how it is. It can't be any other way. In doing that, happiness will always be in the next moments after that. Resist this moment, resist that you can't change, then there'll be suffering in the next moments. So we actually have that possibility to do that. Always ask yourself, how am I relating to this moment? Can I add anything else to it? If you feel like you could add something else to this moment, or you would change it if you could, then you're resisting it. Then I guarantee that you're going to suffer in the next moment. It's really that simple. And that's what we're learning through meditation, is we're watching the flow of change and we're learning to accept it. And all the wandering off thinking and all the emotions and the restlessness and the sleepiness. Sleepiness is just trying to escape from change. Restlessness is trying to escape from change. Thinking is trying to escape from change. All the transporting ourselves to a Hawaiian island, to a better partner, whatever, is trying to escape from whatever is here in our head by creating dreams. Yeah. Does that make sense? Fantastic. So can you see how that applies to illness and disability and stuff? The same thing. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to teach you a practice, or share with you a practice for helping yourself to heal. First thing we've got to do is we've got to accept this is what we have to work with. It can't be any other way. Then through deep breathing, right, and strong mindfulness, we can actually allow our body, every cell in our body, to relax, and we can encourage more oxygen within it. So it's a Qigong method, but it's a Qigong method for healing. And it still works within these practices because it depends on very strong mindfulness and awareness. Does anyone need a stretch? All good? All looking around? You're going, yep, I feel perfectly comfortable how I am, thank you very much. Okay, let's begin. So close your eyes over lightly. Immerse your attention in the feeling of your body sitting on the chair or on the floor. Build up your mindfulness. Allow your awareness to build and see if you can feel every cell in your body. Try to feel every part of your body, down to the smallest cell. Start to soften within that attention, within that awareness. And every time you breathe out, feel how every part of your body relaxes. Now that your awareness is immersed in your body, we're going to use deep breathing. And we're going to picture breathing oxygen into every cell. Take a deep breath in through your nose, deep down into your belly, below your belly button. And then breathing out, picture your body feeling like a balloon. Nice long breath, filling every cell of your body. And then breathing in and breathing out, filling every cell. Just keep breathing in this way. Keep the breathing long, deep and gentle. Every time you breathe out into your body, feeling every cell, start to soften into that feeling, into that breathing. Now, using your breathing, start to breathe beyond your body. Take a deep breath in. Breathing out through your body, filling the whole room with your breath. Breathing through every cell. Now allow your breathing to become natural. Fully immerse your body in your awareness. Fill every cell of your body with your awareness. Become intimate with it. Notice when you fill every cell in your body with your awareness, the moment as it is perfect. Also notice when you're being fully aware of every cell in your body with your awareness, the feeling of time also disappears. And so does the thinking mind. Start being aware of things other than your body now. Be aware of the sounds around you. Keep holding your awareness, your mindfulness in your body. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. When you do, just be aware of seeing. And know that you're sitting here. So any pain or suffering in our life needs time to exist. It's coming from a sense of time. The suffering is being carried over from a memory of the past moment. And then it's being overlaid on this moment. When we're fully aware of, fully paying attention to this moment right now, the sense of time ends. Because when you're fully paying attention to the moment, there is no time. There's just this moment, and this moment, and this moment. When we're fully present, all resistance stops. There's just a flow of experience. When we carry time and overlay it on top, it becomes very heavy. So if there's something in your life you can't change, an illness, a disability, a life situation, be aware of your relationship to it, because you can change your relationship to it by understanding, I can't change this anymore. I'm not interested in struggling anymore. Immerse yourself into it, and you'll start to see a change within you, and then eventually a change in your life situation. You don't have to do anything about it, because as you change inside, everything else will start to change too.